Thanks for listening to Comics for Fun and Profit. This is Kyle and Drew. There a sneak peek at next week, episode number 542 for comics originally coming out November the 27th, 2019, the last week of November before we get into the last month of 2019. Drew, what do we got going on in the world of comics?
Well, you know what? We got some blessings.
The blessings.
Our listeners have counted their blessings. We've got a nice baker's dozen of blessings here to read from our listeners, and I figured we'd start just rattle them off. We'll start with you and me. Go ahead and if you feel like you want to, go ahead and you do yours first. I'll do mine, and then we'll go to our listeners.
You go first. I'll go second.
Okay. All right. Well, my blessings were Walking Dead. Walking Dead got me into comics, so I feel blessed by the Walking Dead comic book and TV show, and my brother reminding me that, or letting me know that it even existed as a comic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd have to go with the New 52. I know at the end, the New 52 kind of lost a little favor, but when it first came out, it was very exciting to me, and really reignited a passion for comics. This led to my third blessing, which is Image, which for me is still the greatest publisher, and the one that if I ever finish a comic, this is who I would want to publish it. And I love most of the stuff that they put out, especially the Skybound imprint.
There you go.
Number 4 on my list is BKV. Discovering Brian K. Vaughan and going down that rabbit hole and reading all his stuff, almost everything he's ever written, and loving pretty much everything he's ever written, and just discovering how good a comic can actually be when it's helmed by a really great writer. I think that I felt really blessed by that. And lastly, digital comics.
There you go.
Digital comics have replaced print comics as my comic reading method of choice. I prefer it. My older eyes prefer it. I like the colors. I like the experience on a tablet better than print. I know that's sacrilege to a lot of you folks, but I love digital comics, and those are my 5 blessings.
Very good, very good. We do have a repeat between you and I.
Oh, cool.
I also have The Walking Dead on it. In a year where it came to an end, and Kirkman did such a wonderful job with the way it ended, and how you and I have a history of that comic being very much joined to us getting back into comics. That was one of the first things that came to mind, especially with just me putting a final touches on some of my boxes of Walking Dead and stuff. It was very much fresh in my mind for that. So, Walking Dead in its entirety, one of my things. My second blessing is dollar boxes.
That's great.
We had an LCS close to us actually move into a new location, and actually for the first time in a while put out a lot of dollar boxes, and I just really get a kick out of just digging through dollar books, just long box after long box of flipping through things, hunting, pulling something out, pulling my phone out, doing a quick little cursory search on it, and deciding it's not worth it, putting it back, and just digging for more stuff. I really do enjoy that, and that is one of my favorite things in comics, is kind of the search and the hunt. And just fun old dollar boxes are one of my favorite things of all time. Another thing I feel blessed for, as I'm going to kind of cheat and group a few things, is cover artists. My favorite cover artists. There are times where I don't even read a title, but I have to have that Art Germ cover. I have to have that J. Scott Campbell cover. I have to have that Scotty Young cover. And just for me, finding not only a great book, but with a cover that really I have to have, that's something I'm very thankful for. I'm thankful that we don't just always put generic covers on things, or it's not just a repeat of one of the page 6 panel. That we have people in this industry that pour their heart and soul into making comic books look great and have amazing covers that really attract you to them. Another thing I'm thankful for, I'm gonna say Star Wars. Star Wars back in comics. I've been deep into Disney Plus the last couple weeks with it coming out. Deep into Mandalorian and things like that. So I'm thankful for also Disney Plus. But just that Star Wars is back in comic form, back in canon form, back everything's grouped with Marvel again. It's just, when going through the Disney Plus, it's just neat to see that it's all this Disney stuff, but also the Star Wars world, the Star Wars universe, and I've been steeped in it for so long. So I'm just very thankful that Marvel has put a lot into a lot of the Star Wars books since the merger and since everything. And I think we took it for granted for a while that it wasn't there, and that I wasn't big into the Dark Horse stuff, unfortunately. But as much as I get mad at some of the elongated stuff and some of the worthless stuff with the Star Wars from Marvel, I'm very thankful that it's considered canon, and I have a place to dig deeper into the lore of that when I get in these kind of moods and things. I can run to the Marvel Star Wars section and really see what's there. And my last blessing is I'm thankful for this podcast. I'm thankful for the ability to talk to our listeners, to hear feedback from them on a weekly basis, to really keep me grounded into it. I look forward to you and I getting together for a short amount of time, and I really look forward to the feedback from the listeners.
That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
That's way less self-centered than mine was.
There you go.
Really good. James Rayner says, number 1, the Walking Dead TV show and comic book men show. It's what got me back into the hobby I love. There's a thread here. Mayo's Comic Book Page podcast. It's my favorite podcast and introduced me to Drew. Thank you. Introduced me to Mike Myers on the Slack channel. Very cool. And allowed me the opportunity to share my opinions on comics. Number 3, Jason from Hawaii, who is quite possibly the nicest person I've ever met. You'll get no argument from me.
Yeah.
Number 4, Eric from Cowabunga. He took the fight to DCBS with even better pricing. He is genuinely a good person. Yep. Again, no disagreements. And number 5, my wife, who supports me and allows me to spend so much money on this hobby I love. Very cool. Samurai Godzilla says, Usagi Yojimbo, Savage Dragon, Jeff Lemire, Mark Wade, comic book stores, and cons. You can put 6 in there. You're allowed.
I like it, yeah.
Have at it. That's it. Comic book stores and cons are pretty good.
Got some of his favorite books, creators, and just other things that really keep him in there.
X-Men Patrick says, X-Men Reboot, number 1. Number 2, Mad Cave Studios. All right.
Nice.
Number 3, Great Podcasts for Comics. Cool. Number 4, John Mayo and James for the Slack channel. It is my favorite. It is my local comic chatter. And number 5, Immortal Hulk. Very cool. Marvin says, I'm just going to do one. That blessing is my friend. Almost 25 years ago, my friend John, almost 25 years ago, my car broke down in the country on my way home. This is pre-cell phone. It looked like I had a bit of a walk ahead of me, and then this guy named John rolls up and offers me a ride. He has a stack of comics in a bag on the bench seat of his small truck. We strike up a conversation since I am also a comic reader too. All these years later, because of his kindness and those comics, we are still friends. At some point, my first wife and I divorced. It was a dark and difficult time, and John let me move in with him. This may seem like a stretch. However, without those comics, we would have never talked again. Those comics gave us some common ground, and now we're lifelong friends. Wow, man, that's pretty amazing.
That's cool.
That's really good, Marvin. Thank you. Aaron Churchill says, number 1, comic book podcasts. These are a great way to interact with the community and know you are not alone. Man, high school wasn't fun in the late 80s, early 90s for comic book lovers. Especially ones like yours that bring the community to your podcast. I really like the Comic Conspiracy podcast and the Contest of Challengers podcast. I'll check those out. Number 2, the stories and art. Seems blindingly obvious, but at its foundation, that's what we are here for. Number 3, DC Comics having DC superhero girls started coming out right as my daughter was born, and she loves them. What a great way to get your child into comics and reading. Also, DC characters were my favorite and still are, so it's the characters I grew up loving. Selfish, but true. Number 4, comic book conventions. Meet the people who bring us so much joy week in and week out. You get to shake their hand and say thank you for the decades of joy or the week of joy, depending on their career length. Either way, how many times in life do you get to thank a person directly that's brought so much joy to you in your child's life? My daughter got to meet, shake hands, and get a picture with Judd Winnick at C2E2 3 or 4 years ago. She loves his Hilo books. Also came out the year she was born, so he's on the same book number as the age of my daughter. Kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Also, my daughter likes Jill Thompson's The Little Endless Storybook. She got a destiny drawn in her book and got to meet and get a picture with Jill. So incredibly cool. Also, I used Jill's Kickstarter to commission a picture of my daughter in Supergirl's DC Superhero Girl's costume with Streaky the Super Cat, a New York Times bestselling author that charges hundreds or thousands of dollars for commissions, did one of my daughter for $100 because she was a few years behind on her Kickstarter. Thank you, Comic Convention. Thank you to Comic Conventions. Sorry, that was way too long. Number 5, my best friend in high school, Chris. There was a local shop in Grand Ledge, Michigan called Fantasy Road. This is long since gone. This guy 2 years older than me got me my job because I was too young. There are some fun tales about him being intimidated by me because I was aggressively jealous at first. Then I found a kindred spirit and a best friend, and we were able to share a passion and love of something very few people understood at the time. See the high school story above. I was a geeky, introverted kid that desperately needed a friend to connect with. Without comics, I never would have met and connected to my best friend. Man, these are awesome.
Yeah, no kidding.
You guys are freaking amazing, making me cry. Mo Walker, who's Dr. Mo on the comic book page, Slack, and forums. Number 1, Jonathan Hickman's breathing life into the X-Men line, courtesy of House of X and Powers of 10. I'll get that eventually. Powers of 10. Number 2, a new Legion of Superheroes series brought to you by Brian Michael Bendis and company. Number 3, Titan Comics handling of the Robotech property.
Yeah.
Number 4, more Boom Studio titles landing on my pull list. Once in Future, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and The Magicians. Number 5, watching artists like R.B. Silva for Powers of 10, Jorge Jimenez for Justice League, Jamal Campbell for Naomi and Far Sector, and Pepe Larraz for House of X, Dan Mora on Once in Future, and Alvaro Martinez for Justice League come into their own to produce phenomenal artwork this year. Excellent. Thank you, Mo. Glenn Clark is blessed by his LCS. Most people either love or hate their local comic shop, but the fine folks at the Tangled Web in Spartanburg take customer service to the extreme. About 6 years ago, I had congestive heart failure and was in the hospital for a week. On new release day, the comic shop owner came to see me with my weekly pull list, plus a few extra trades to keep me occupied and my mind off the situation. Sure, I could use a mail order service and get books at a better discount, but you won't find customer service like that through the mail. I know you asked for 5, but this went a little long, so I'll leave it at just 1.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Glenn. That was wonderful. Paul Keene. Hopefully he's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Keene, sometimes known as Bronze Age Paul. Number 1, that I have 3 almost grown kids who enjoy comics. Maybe not as obsessively as I do, but all of them read them from time to time. Number 2, that it's a hobby I can enjoy for the simple pleasures of reading, the fun of collecting, and even in a small way, investing. How many other hobbies can you do that? Number 3, the relationships I have built. Store owners and other dealers, fellow fans, etc. I've been able to meet great people in person, but also online, and share my enthusiasm for the hobby. That includes great podcasters like you guys, where it may only be a one-way relationship, but I still feel like I know you. That's pretty awesome. Number 4, the amazing creativity of comics artists, writers, and other creators. Without them, we'd have no comics, let alone this golden age of movies and TV shows. Everyone who likes comics should agree with this one. Thanks for the opportunity to comment, and keep up the great work. Thank you, Paul. That's fantastic. Professor Allen, number 1, says Dr. Doom has his own book. Number 2, The Legion is back. Number 3, Alternate Comics produces new issues priced at $1.50. Number 4, discount back issue bins. There you go, Kyle. Kindred spirit. And number 5, through podcasting and social media, I've gotten to know bunches of cool people and make friends, some of whom I've even met in real life. Professor Allen does a bunch of podcasts on his Relatively Geeky network, and one of them is the Quarter Bin podcast. And he used to shop at the same LCS we shopped that had the quarterly quarter bin, or the quarterly quarter sale.
Yeah, quarterly quarter sale.
And he misses it because now
so much.
He was able to. He was talking on a podcast about how he was able to fill the void a little bit with at half price books and World's Greatest, but their quarter bins are gone, and so he's worried about having to rebrand his podcast since he can't actually find a quarter bin, and his podcast is called the Quarter Bin Podcast. So
dating himself with that, they don't exist anymore.
He's having trouble. He's having trouble keeping up with his brand. So check out Relatively Geeky Network and all his podcasts. They're pretty awesome. John Abel sends his blessings. Number 1, comic podcasts. Reading comics uses 2 sides of my brain, and hearing about comics uses the 3rd side. I don't know that that's scientifically true, but okay. What a buzz, he says. Number 2, online comic shopping. I'm thankful I can order any comic I want and have it delivered to my door without having to dig through grubby long boxes.
How dare you?
Well, wait. Number 3, spending hours digging through grubby long boxes.
There you go. Okay.
What can I say? I actually love it. Number 4, Mice LCS, winner of the 2019 Harry Creamer Award for the Canadian Award for Outstanding Comic Retailer. Nice. Very cool. And number 5, Joel Jones. More, please. Man after my own heart there. That's very cool. And our final blessing comes to us from our very own Jason from Hawaii, Jason Kim. Number 1, I thank God for my wife, Dawn, who supports my crazy expensive hobby, from buying comics to going to conventions. P.S. We don't talk about how much money I spent at the 2019 Amazing Comic-Con that had George Perez, Jim Starlin, and Neil Adams. And don't forget the crazy amount of money that you spend sending unsolicited gifts to friendly podcasters around the country, which is he's very nice at that. We always enjoy our Christmas gifts. Number 2, for my friendships with you, Drew, and Kyle, and John Mayo, and James, and Eric from Cowabunga, and Lucas and Randy, the Coners of Dragon's Lair. For you, Drew, and Kyle, and John, for letting me contribute to your podcasts. And number 4, for we comic book fans live in a time where we have so much comic book TV movies that are really well made and successful, that are loved and even criticized. And number 5, I thank God I was finally able to meet my favorite artist, George Perez, before he retired. And that is cool, Jason, because you got in right under the wire. I think he was at might have been the last con he ever went to before he retired. So yeah, it was cool. Guys, you really outdid yourselves. I want to thank you, listeners, very much. These were wonderful, and you did a really fantastic job. And we are really, really blessed by the comics that we get to hang out with and read and enjoy. This was really fun, and thank you guys for playing along with this. This was great.
Absolutely. Sometimes we get stuck in the rut of complaining about, Marvel shenanigans or the LCS things we don't like or a price we don't like or books coming out late and things like that. But if this industry wasn't a blessing and I didn't enjoy what we do in the medium, I wouldn't do it. So it's good to continue to remind
Yep.
ourselves that there's awesome things here that really inspire us each and every day to enjoy their creativity and hopefully spin it out into our own creativity as well.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. Thank you. Before we hop into the FOC, we have a supplemental FOC mailing from Eric from Cowabunga. It's all about the TKO Publishing Wave 2. So if you're familiar with TKO from last year, it's a publisher. What they do is they allow you to read the entire first issue of all their comic line digitally. They provide that to you for free, and then if you like it, you can order the trade of those comics, or you can order all the individual issues of that comic. They're already done and complete, no delays. You can get them all, but if just your preference, if you like floppies, if you like trades, at least that's how they did it last year. I'm assuming that's how they're doing it again this year. But there's multiple titles in Wave 2. And, of course, you can't get these through Diamond. You can order these directly yourself from TKO, but you're going to pay full retail. But if you're already getting the FOC, or you want to sign up for the FOC, which you can find in our show notes, from Eric at Cowabunga Comics, he can hook you up and get you discounts, sweet discounts on these TKO properties. So you can check out TKO's books, see if you like them. You can buy some or all of them, and have them shipped straight to your grubby little paws. The titles for Wave 2 are Jeff Lemire and Gabrielle Walta doing Sentient. It's pretty solid. Walta did the Vision, and of course Jeff Lemire does everything. Mm-hmm. When an attack kills the adults on a colony ship, the onboard AI Valerie must help the ship's children survive the perils of space. Can Valerie rise to the task? Sounds good. The next one is Pound for Pound, which is by Natalie Chavez, Andy Bellinger, and Daniela Miwa, which is about underground MMA fighter Danny Libra fears nothing except for the reoccurring blackouts that spark memories of a bloody past. When her sister is kidnapped, Danny must shine a light on the darkness in her own mind. But how long can she keep her own demons at bay? Very cool. We've got The Banks by Roxanne Gay and Ming Doyle on art with Jordi Belair colors. So these are not, these are top-notch creators, folks. This is not an upstart publisher. They're just doing it a different way. From New York Times best-selling writer Roxanne Gay and artist Ming Doyle, the women of the Banks family are the most successful thieves in Chicago, but during the heist of a lifetime, they must band together to avenge a loved one taken too soon. We have Eve of Extinction. I can't read who those creators are. The rain brought something that changed the man into something inhuman. To rescue their stranded daughter, two mothers must survive the hurricane and the horrors it unleashes. Can they work together long enough to save their only child? I think it says Sal Simon. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know who the creators are there. You have to look it up. It's Eve of Distinction. So if any of those sounded good, you can check those out at TKO's website, get a little more in-depth information, or check the TKO mailer from Cowabunga, or request that list from Eric at cowabungacomics.com. Easy ways to do that. Now let's slide over to the Cowabunga FOC.
All right, of course, the FOC is your final order cutoff. It's your last opportunity to add a few things to your order that you missed during previews, or maybe we have a little bit more information on, or sometimes we get FOC exclusive items that you can only get from your FOC. If your LCS does not do an FOC, of course, those things are due by midday on Monday. You can, of course, reach out to Eric at Cowabunga, and he can get you a curated list and also the ability to order from them if your LCS does not do these things and you have to get a hold of these books yourself. He gives you the opportunity to. Eric has a few things he's highlighted from their FOC. First thing being Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy #1. It's a 6-issue series from Dark Horse. Jeff Lemire on that one. We have Doomsday Clock #12 of 12. The
What?
end of Doomsday Clock.
No.
Finally. Really cool on the blank variant edition cover. It looks like it's the nice blank yellow cover. Very reminiscent.
That is very
Washington
cool.
stuff.
That is very cool.
We have Lolo Woods #1, Carmen Maria Machado, J.A.W. Cooper on the art on that one. We have yet another Hill House imprint from DC. Suicide Squad #1, cardstock variant. Francisco Matina doing a really, really cool cover on that one with a little bit of Harley, a little bit of Deadshot, and a little bit of King Shark all on the same cover.
Guess who's going to read that one because it's Tom Taylor.
Hey, Tom Taylor, absolutely. Bring on the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Also, we have Charles Soule rebooting Star Wars with Star Wars #1. And the cover A is an R.B. Silva cover. And we have Thor #1 from Donny Cates and Olivier Coipel on the cover A for that.
We're rebooting Star Wars? I didn't know that.
We went to 75. We're back to 1.
Why? Well, because.
Because it's Star Wars. We've got the end of the large saga coming. We've got Disney Plus pumping out Mandalorian and things like that. So
okay.
as well.
All right.
Reboot the comic series as well.
We might get people wandering into a comic shop, see a #1, boy likely to pick it up, then a 76. Gotcha. All right, that makes sense.
There you go. Let's dig a little deeper and see what you and I can find, and let's start with our Dark Horse.
We have a Harrow County sighting. This is the Colin Bunn book that ended, I believe, with issue 35, 36, something like that. It looks like they're coming back for a 4-issue miniseries. These are more tales from Harrow County. The artist this time is Naomi Franquiz, is not the same artist that was on the original. It was Tyler Crook, which I loved his stuff. He's still doing the cover, but
He's doing the cover B.
Yeah, but he's not doing the interiors. It doesn't look like. But I hasn't been that long for me because I took my sweet time, trade weighted on the final volume. So I just finished it like a few months ago. But I'm ready to jump back in. Sure, why not? Kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have a 10-copy FOC exclusive on that Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy #1. That's your Jeff Lemire cover, is your 10-copy FOC exclusive. Pockets get just a little deeper on that. Actually, no, not really. No, there.
Yeah.
Anything else in Dark Horse? Let's see what DC has, and we have our third issue of Basket Full of Heads.
Yeah, and we have the final Tom King Batman. So 85 is the conclusion to the City of Bane, which has been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, that's been 12, 18 issues.
It feels like it. I think it's only like 9, but yeah, it feels like it's been going on a long time. And it's extra sized, so let's add $1. And Tom King ends this and then moves on to, what is it, Batman and Catwoman?
Yes.
Is that what he's going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, let's add $1, and then if you're getting cardstock, let's add another $1. So you got
so it's
$6 for that Matina cover.
Pricey.
Of course, Doomsday Clock. We talked about that ending.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. Now we've got a $1 comic for Flash 164. That would be. It's reprinted. It's a Jeff Johns book, and it's reprinted to coincide with the Flash Volume 11, The Greatest Trick of All. So yeah, I am not a good enough Flash aficionado to know what that means. The listeners are beating their hair. How do you not know The Greatest Trick of All? I'm sorry, I don't.
Nightwing 67. Nightwing's getting a little interesting now. I'm going to read you the solicit, Drew, and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Accepting his destiny as the Gray Son, Rick Grayson, we're still on the Rick Grayson thing, joins his great-grandfather as the newest Talon. He's cleaning up Bloodhaven and restoring order to a city that has been in complete and utter disarray for the past year. But at what cost? When he faces off against a new enemy whose metal tests his metal, everyone's value will be tested. So I like the circling back with the Talon stuff.
Well, yeah, that's what's been going on the last couple. I mean, it's been Nightwings, but he's been there, and that's kind of a spoil. That solicit. I guess we know what he does.
Yeah.
If you haven't read that, if you haven't read 66 yet, yeah, you can figure out that he does. I guess go with him and go that way.
He seems to be accepting things. Yeah.
He's still kind of resistant to his amnesia, and it turns out there was some conspiracy with the amnesia, and you should definitely be reading the last couple of Nightwing. Mm-hmm. I think it's getting really good.
I was gonna say, now's the time to jump into that.
Yeah, exactly. There's that Suicide Squad. Looks really good.
Yeah, pay the extra $1 for the card stock. It's $6 too. What the heck?
But it's only $2.99 through Cowabunga, which
Correct.
Is holding the line.
Yeah,
it's pretty good actually. And we got another Superman Giant. What
is it?
We got another Superman Giant, another Walmart book. So I guess this is not the. Who was it? Was it? No, it was Tom King that did the last one, right?
Yeah. The
last Walmart. And so there must have been another wave. Well, I lost track of the Walmarts after a while. I'm guessing that's what this is.
It also reprints a bunch of other tales, it says. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it must be. If it's a 100-page Giant, and it's that price, I'm guessing it's a Walmart reprint. Teen Titans has been good too. Have you been reading that?
I dip in every now and again and check in on Crush, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the last couple have been really good.
So we have Year of the Villains, Hell Arisen, #1. Back into our, of course, Batman Who Laughs. Really cool.
Oh, is that what that is?
Riccardo Federici. Gover B or whatnot on that one. DC's Year of the Villains begins its sinister conclusion. All right, down to IDW.
Yeah, Ryan Ferrier, doing the writing on I Can Sell You a Body, with art by George Combatis. Are you dead? Danny Little can help. This disgraced TV psychic can put your soul in a living body for a price. A bad day at the office, however, has just put a bounty on his head, courtesy of a murdered mafioso, leaving Denny 48 hours to save his own life. I like Ryan Ferrier's writing, so I'm going to definitely check that out.
There you go. And right into that from IDW by Livio Ramondelli, with art by Livio Ramondelli as well. We have Kill Lock, #1. Each found guilty of an irredeemable crime, 4 robots find themselves banished from their home world and bound together by the Kill Lock, a programming link that means if one of them dies, they all will. Now a soldier, an addict, a murderer, and a child find themselves forced to protect each other while in search for a cure to survive.
All right, Kyle. We have a video game crossover book. I don't know if it's a real legit video game or not. Read Only Memories #1 by Senna Grace, and it's based on the hit game 2064. Read Only Memories.
Okay.
Does that ring any bells with you?
I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar at all with that title.
Okay. Enter a cyberpunk universe like you've never seen it before. Santa Cruz, California, a beach town just 50 miles from Neo San Francisco. Lexi Rivers, former detective with the Neo San Francisco Police Department, has left the big city lights behind in favor of opening her own agency. Valentine's Day, a time for celebrating love or finding it. When a robot's human lover goes missing, Lexi will be faced with a case unlike any she's tackled yet. One which just might show her that not all is as it seems in this pleasant beachside community. Sounds kind of cool, actually. I kind of like, it sounds a little bit like The Fuse, where it's like sci-fi background, but you're telling maybe detective stories.
Mm-hmm.
I could get down with that.
Yeah, I can see what's going on with that.
There's also Wellington, #1. This is Aaron Monkey and Delilah Dawson, with art by Peter Kowalski and a cover by Robert Hack. This is a podcaster, Aaron Monkey, who's writing this supernatural theory. So we got to throw a little love to a podcaster turned comic
no
creator,
doubt.
right?
Yeah.
But it's about a monster hunter, and the secret history of the Duke of Wellington begins here. So, good luck
Cover
to
kind
you.
of reminds me of the first issue of Monstrous.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
See what Marvel has in store for us. What's Marvel doing?
Yeah, Image had 4 books. That's it. They're not putting much out. FOC that week.
And then we have Hawkeye Freefall #1. These books will be coming out January 1st, 2020.
Oh, did Eric mention that? Something
Yeah,
about
he
that?
said something in the FOC in the original email. This list contains items that were not solicited due for January 1st releases. New series from Marvel include Hawkeye, Star Wars, and Thor.
Oh, Kyle, that's got a look to it. That Hawkeye.
It does. It's Matthew Rosenberg writing it. Otto Schmidt on the art.
That's pretty. I mean, I liked his Green Arrow art.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, Rosenberg can be okay. I think we should check this out.
There you go. When a mysterious and ruthless new Ronin starts tearing in destructive path through the city, suspicion immediately falls on Hawkeye. But Clint has more to worry about than who's wearing his old costume. After a clash with the Hood ends badly, Hawkeye gives himself a new mission that will place him in the crosshairs of one of New York's most dangerous villains. Hawkeye's mission and Ronin's secret plans will set them on a collision course that only one of them will walk away from. Fan favorite Clint Barton returns in a brand new series by Matthew Rosenberg and Otto Schmidt.
Fractions Hawkeye was almost a blessing on my blessings list.
There you go.
Yeah, it was close. There's some Star Wars. Not as many covers as the last #1.
Sorry, I'm looking at all these Hawkeye Freefall covers.
They're pretty cool, huh? Alan Davis and Paul Renault are doing Tarot #1, an all-new epic adventure teaming the classic Earth's Mightiest Heroes with Marvel's premier non-team by Alan Davis and Paul Renault. A strange and impossible lost memory from his days in World War II draws Namor the Submariner to his one-time compatriot Captain America, but the two heroes and their respective allies find themselves pulled into a labyrinth of pain, destruction, and madness. Interesting.
A lot of covers on Thor. Good gracious.
Yeah, it's our Donny Cates taking over that book. And they're launching it, putting a little marketing shenanigan behind it. So, it'll probably do 200,000.
All right, anything else from Marvel?
Nope.
Let's see what our smaller publishers have for us.
Got a second issue of Heartbeat, a second printing of a Heartbeat already, plus a second issue and an FOC exclusive for Heartbeat 2.
Down in Boom, we have Once in Future #5, the penultimate Once in Future.
Another Claus for Christmas. Claus Life and Times of Joe Christmas. So that's probably Dan Moore, right?
I would think so. It better be.
Can't really do Claus without that.
Yep.
Yep.
It is.
Grant and Diane. Did you read the Christmas one from last year?
I believe I did.
I think I have it. I still have it on my stack, and I've never read it. Once in Future, I'm bummed it's only a 6-issue series.
I know.
That thing could have been a
Give
great
me
ongoing.
more.
Maybe they'll change their mind.
Money shot number 3 from Vault.
I think that is it for me.
That is it. Of course, if you want to pick up these things, these are your FOC items. Hold on, what is... I don't know if that's anything or not. Much into Action Lab. Action Lab has Super Mom Expecting Trouble number 1. That looks kind of neat. Super Mom Expecting Trouble number 1 from Action Lab. Could be a cool one as well. Seems like a neat little premise there. But, of course, get a hold of your LCS. Make sure you get these comics added if you don't want to have to chase them on the secondary market when they come out. Make sure you're FOCing them or reaching out to Cowabunga and get them just mailed directly to you. Do it the easiest of ways. But some really good stuff and neat stuff in this FOC. And a reminder that these books, some of them are coming out 1st of 2020.
Yeah. Let's shift gears and check and see what's happening in the world of hot selling comics on eBay. So our good friends over at Cover Price compile a top 10 of hot books selling on eBay and curate that for us. And number 1 is something called Marvel's Chillers, Giant Size Chillers, number 1. This is a book from 1974.
Oh, wow.
It is the first appearance of Modred the Mystic, and you can get them for around $5. 26 of them sold. $6 for the raw, $100 for a graded. I don't know why Modred the Mystic is hot. I missed that. You heard anything, Kyle? Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be some kind of... From 1974, that's quite a pull. Yeah. So something's going on. Number 2, Marvel Action Spider-Man number 11, a 1 in 10 variant by John Boy Myers. 15 of them sold for about $45 a piece. So you probably could have got that for what, 6, 8, easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
right? That would have been a good flip. It's a John Boy Myers variant for an IDW Spider-Man book.
Yeah, it's the first 8 we've seen on those IDW versions.
Yeah, that's encouraging. Amazing Spider-Man 361, the first appearance of Carnage. Kyle, how many of those did we not buy for a quarter in the quarter bin because there were so many?
There were a ton.
There were so many. There's millions of these out there, folks. But 22 of them sold this week, and they're selling for $100 raw. I cannot believe this was in the quarter bin not that long ago.
Yeah. And
it's selling for $100 raw. It's the first appearance of Carnage, and you could have had it for cheap. Giant Size X-Men number 1, old school book, $1,165 on average for a raw book. 19 of them sold. It's the first appearance of the new X-Men and the first appearance of Krakoa. Amazing Spider-Man number 12 comes in at rank 5. This is the first appearance of Leo Pardon. 14 of them sold for $15 a piece. Number 6.
I have that somewhere.
That's the Nick Spencer or the one before?
Dan Slott, yeah.
Dan Slott. First issue special number 5. This is the first appearance of Mark Shaw, the Manhunter. First issue special number 5. 26 of them sold for around $10. What year is this thing from? Doesn't say. It looks like a Kirby book. Yeah, it's a Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty old. I can't see a close up of it to see just how old it is by the price tags. Pretty interesting. Moon Knight number 1 comes 1975. Thank you. Moon Knight number 1 comes in at rank 7. The first Moon Knight Solar Series. It's coming to Disney Plus. People are excited. It's now over $20 for an average raw. 18 of them sold, and you can get a 9.2 for $88.
I'm looking at that book right now.
It's a beautiful book. Incredible Hulk 449 is the first appearance of the Thunderbolts. 13 of them sold for around $60 a piece. Graded average is $238 for 9.8. Money to be made there, folks. Spider-Man Unlimited number 1, the first appearance of Shriek, who's going to be in the Venom 2 movie. 18 of these sold for $16 a piece. And Morbius number 1, the In-Hyuk Lee variant. 23 of them sold for an average of $43. It's a ratio variant for Morbius. Those are top 10.
Very cool.
and some good hot books there to check out.
Yeah, better than the last couple weeks ago. That was kind of weird. So hopefully some stuff moving good.
Yeah. So let's take a look at our sneak peek, Kyle.
Yeah, let's head over to previewsworld.com. Find November 27, 2019. Start where we love to start. Let's start in Image. Philadelphia. Rodney Barnes, Jason Sean Alexander.
Do we know who that is?
Spawn series artist Jason Sean Alexander.
Oh, okay.
And the writer behind such hit shows as Wu-Tang, The American Saga, Marvel's Runaways, and Star's American Gods.
Well, another showrunner turned comic person.
Yep.
I'm getting sick of those people. You need to stay in Hollywood, fool. Leave the comics to the podcasters. I don't have anything else jumping out at me.
Let's head on down and see what we can get from Dark Horse.
Little weak sauce there for me.
Yeah. IDW.
No, man, nothing's jumping out.
DC.
Well, I am excited about Basket Full of Heads.
There you go.
And I did read the other Hill House, the Dollhouse Family. Mm-hmm. That was really good too. It just must be right in my wheelhouse because I like both of those a lot. They were pretty fantastic.
And you'll be in line for John Constantine's Hellblazer #1, right?
Maybe.
It's your boy Cy Spurrier.
Yeah. If it's accessible at all, or it's not like issue 301 of that long run series, where it just it was going on and on and on for a long time, and you'd be lost if you weren't.
All right, so this is turning me a bit on my head here, Drew. So we have John Constantine Hellblazer #1. It is a Black Label book.
Ah, nice.
But it does not appear to be prestige format. It does, and it is $4.
Okay.
So we just simply have it as Black Label with the moniker of ages 17 plus. So this is a situation where we're simply using Black Label to say this is an adult comic.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're shuttering Vertigo and relaunching it as Black Label, and we're price gouging occasionally.
Well, and I mean we're staying in some of these, like we're still in our main titles. We're in our superhero books.
Yeah.
Supergirl Annual #2. We got more Giants. Swamp Thing Giant #2.
Yeah, that's got to be one of those.
Yeah, it looks just like
Walmart's.
Walmart's. All right, down to the Marvels.
More $20.99. We got a Conan $20.99. I don't know who wanted that, but there it is. Fantastic Four Negative Zone #1.
Mike Carey and Ryan North writing that.
Punisher $20.99. I'll probably check that one out. Who am I kidding?
That one seems the most interesting of all of them.
As you know, he's going to be in a bad mood in $20.99.
Scream Curse of Carnage #1. Scream is the female Carnage.
Where was her first appearance?
It was not too long ago. I picked it up.
Was it a Donny Cates creation?
I think so. And a really cool. She gets her own Scotty Young cover, so that's pretty neat.
Oh, that is cool. That's it for me.
All right, down to some Dynamites and some other smaller publishers. Talked about Folklords, I remember a little while ago. We got going to a second print. It's that Matt Camp book.
Yeah, no cover
Matt
showing.
Smith, yeah, interesting.
We've got Storm King Productions Incorporated doing Carpenter Tales Sci-Fi Redhead #1. This is Dwayne Skorinsky, and that's not how to pronounce his name, dang it. With art by Jason Felix and a cover by Tim Bradstreet, about Marnie Young, an executive assistant in San Diego. Sweet girl who wouldn't hurt a fly. She's also super lonely. One night, without warning, Marnie has a violent seizure. Coworkers recoil in horror as she writhes on the floor. 2 days later, she wakes up in a hospital room. As her vision comes into focus, she sees 17 doctors and nurses dead on the floor. Blood spattered everywhere. Soon she discovers the shocking truth. Marty has become lethal, and everyone who comes within 3 feet of her dies instantly. That's really going to mess up her dating life if she had one. Is there a cure? Can anyone get close enough to find out? Pretty cool concept.
Interesting, yeah.
I think we like some stuff that Dwayne Sarinsky did before. And I can't remember his sheet, but I know he's done some good stuff.
Misplaced #1 from Source Point Press. Interesting, odd book. First of a 4-issue supernatural mystery miniseries.
Got Scout Comics' Last Stop by Trey Walker and Hoyt Silva. The newest entry in the new Non-Stop imprint, where Scott releases a world premiere issue followed by the entire story a few months later in one volume. So they're kind of like TKO, only a little different. This is about time is ticking for the world's last superhero. Disillusioned Lincoln Adams, a.k.a. Unstoppable, must make peace with the changing world around him. Can there truly be a place for him in a world without supers? Might be good.
Yeah. Oh my, Drew.
Yes.
What are we going to do here?
Okay.
Do you have a book that's your pick of the week for this one?
Did you didn't find anything else?
I did not.
Well, did you already talk about ogres?
No.
Because it's Source Point Press.
There's several little Source Point books here.
Yeah, written by Bob Sally with art by Sean Daly, and it's a band of marauders called the Tajshar. It can't be it, but that's what I'm going to go with. Tajshar destroy their village. A group of young ogres hire an exiled dwarf to help track down these creatures and avenge their kind. The bickering crew is not alone, as the dwarf has a prisoner of his own and a horde of savages hunting him down. Bob Sally and Sean Daly bring us back into their fantasy world and show us the human condition in the harshness of decaying times for all mystical creatures. So it's not it must be a second volume of something that's
I remember
existed.
we skimmed through that during FOC. And yeah. Source Point's also doing Touching Evil #1, Dan Doherty writing that one. An attorney is given a curse from a mysterious prisoner that allows her to kill anyone instantly with just a touch of her hand.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It's very, very similar to the other one. Did you already talk about Misplaced?
I think I skimmed by that one on accident.
I
talked about that one.
Did you? Did you talk about that
Yep.
one? Man, there's a lot of #1s down here, but I'm not sure what's gonna be the one. Monster Men Soul of Beast. What is that? Shoot, I can't even pop up. It's American mythology. Edgar Rice Burroughs. That doesn't do much for me.
Nope. Don't move my needle either.
Yeah.
And then Muddy Shot #1 going back for second printings, including a second print polybag.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see that one. It doesn't show, obviously. Black Bag. Oh, Chris Burnham's doing the cover.
Mm-hmm.
They do show it.
They blur it. I assume it will not be blurred in the black bag.
Okay. So now you need a call from me. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. What is your pick of the week? What's the one thing to make sure you pick up this week and save? Because it's going to be the next thing featured on CoverPrice.com.
Well, I like Vault's premise, or is it Scout premise, with Last Stop. Let's put, if we can't make any money, doing floppies for 4, 5, 6 issues, let's just put one out. People like to sample them, and then we'll just work on the trade and then fire that out. So you sample a #1 and get that one. You've got the #1 value. I think I'm going to go with Last Stop just because I like the premise, and it might hit. You never know.
There you go. I actually think you're going to want to get the Scream Curse of Carnage #1. I think you want to get that little Scotty Young variant. I think it's a really cool cover, and hopefully they do something really neat with Scream, because we've seen all this Carnage heat, so there's got to be something on the back end of that. And of course, Clay McLeod Chapman writing that one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that person.
Yeah, me either. So
fantastic.
Good stuff here, Drew. So we're heading into December, and don't forget this weekend when you're listening to this is local comic shop day, I believe, isn't it?
Oh yes. As you're listening to this, it is the day that you're listening.
Yep. Or if you're listening to it late, you missed it. See if they're putting any of those books out in the next few days.
Yeah, and pick up one of those Walking Dead Brian K. Vaughan books.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we want to thank you guys for listening to Comics for Friend and Profit. Thank you for listening to Drew and myself as we venture through comics coming out this coming Wednesday, November the 27th, 2019. If you disagree with any of the books we picked this week, let us know. Send us something via the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, and our Gmail account. Be part of the podcast and tell us what you think the book of the week should have been on these things. So we want to thank you so much again for Drew and for myself. See ya.